This segment is sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.
Well, 2022 marks a special anniversary for the Canadian Coast Guard. It will be 60 years they have been around. Joining us right now from Victoria is the Assistant Commissioner of the Canadian Coast Guard, Derek Moss joins us. And I love this, Derek. I said I was going to call you Commissioner. You went, oh, no. Just call me Derek. Derek, welcome.
Hey, thanks very much, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. We're really honored.
Oh, we are too, sir. Thank you. And I was saying to you off camera, I love the motto. I was looking at some of the videos that your production PR department put out, and I love the line, "You don't always see us, but we're there." Talk a bit, if you can, about the history over the last 60 years, and we'll get into some of the many things that have changed. But you talk about your time with them and some of the challenges that, say, weren't there 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Sure, Jim. So the Canadian Coast Guard became an official entity in 1962 with an announcement by the then Minister of Transport. We joined the Department of Transport. Subsequently, over the years, we joined the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. However, as a capability, Canada has had a Coast Guard-like organization almost forever. We can date back to the 1700s when the first lighthouses were put in place and the first search and rescue craft were in place. But even going further back than that, we can look at our First Nations colleagues who were keeping their communities safe on the water. We've learned a lot from their local knowledge and experience. So as we moved through the last 60 years under the brand of the Canadian Coast Guard, we've become known for a number of things. I think foremost in people's minds is our search and rescue capability. People see the red ship with the great white stripe, and they know help is coming. So when the weather gets bad and most people are coming into port, that's typically when calls come in for us, and our ships are going out to sea to help people who've had a bad day on the water. But in addition to that search and rescue, we've evolved. We've highlighted environmental response, protection of the marine environment, protection of marine mammals. We're looking forward to the blue economy strategy, whereby the use of the oceans from an environmental perspective, from an economic perspective, from a safety perspective, and from a recreational perspective endures for generations, and it's something our kids and our grandkids can partake in. And that's what the Coast Guard is all about, protecting what's on and under the water, whether it be through search and rescue, environmental response, traffic management, prevention, proactive, reactive. So we got a full plate and we love doing it.
You know, to touch on the environmental aspect, the element of that in the equation with you guys, Derek, I mentioned to you before we came on camera that I was out at the Sea Island base, the Coast Guard in Richmond the other day, talking to your colleague Paul Tobin. We'll have more information on that interview at the end of this one. But I was really not surprised, I was pleasantly surprised in this day and age how much the environmental aspect of the equation is such a large part of what you guys do. Half our conversation he and I had was about the things you guys do environmentally.
So it's a huge component for us. It's a prime mission in our mandate. And it's often, as you mentioned, unsung and unnoticed until something happens. But there's a whole capability left of an incident, if I can use that term, that occurs not only to prevent the incident, but to make sure we're capable of responding and directing, whether it be industry or other capable partners to respond to an incident. So while we have ships at sea that predominantly do the search and rescue, they are involved in environmental response, but we also have caches and teams up and down the coast of British Columbia, and in fact up and down all three of Canada's coasts and in the Great Lakes, who respond from shore. So not only to take smaller boats out to put out fuel booms, for example, to put out pads that can absorb a pollutant, to put out skimmers on the top of the water to collect and then gather a pollutant. So all of those things happen. We work in conjunction, as I mentioned earlier, with First Nations partners whose capability is booming, who we're training and assisting and working with. We work hand in glove with industry, a very important and proactive partner. who have a response organization, WCMRC, based, headquartered in Burnaby, BC, who help us out and work with us up and down the coast. And then, of course, our neighbors to the north and south, when we look at the U.S. Coast Guard in Alaska and Washington State. So a very, very robust, complex, well-trained group that take care of the environment. And we kind of have a bit of a running joke. I mean, Coast Guard, we were environmentalists before it was cool to be an environmentalist.
That is just such great stuff, Derek. And again, congratulations on 60 years. As I said, you guys remind me of that IT company. Like, no one ever calls just to say things are great, but you're always there when needed. So I congratulate you, sir. And I know you are back on Vancouver Island again. We wish you best of luck over there. And thank you, sir, very much for joining us today. I congratulate you on 60 years and continued safety and success.
Thanks very much on behalf of all of our 1,300 employees, Jim. Much appreciated.
Thank you for your service, sir. Once again, that's Derek Moss, Assistant Commissioner of the Canadian Coast Guard. We should also remind you, I alluded to another interview that we did recently, this one with our partners at the Richmond Sentinel. You can see my visit out to the Sea Island base just in Richmond on the Fraser River. That will be on the Richmond Sentinel's digital website, and a great time we had out there that day. And again, congratulations to the Coast Guard on 60 years.
This segment was sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.